Hey guys, it's a few minutes before 9 and I am going live to talk to you tonight about inviting, starting with conversation. So I'm going to let the delay kick in and let a couple people pop on, and when you do, I know some of the girls have been having trouble with seeing comments, so a like or whatever would help me to just know somebody's here. I'm in the right group and all that stuff. But I know I'm competing with the Oscars tonight, so I'm going to try to keep this relatively short for you guys. But I just want this to be a time to kind of inspire you and just, help you to think about things maybe a little bit differently than you are now. There's so many different ways to invite, and so hopefully my viewpoint will help to spark some new ideas for you. So I'm going to introduce myself because I just realized I haven't done that yet. My name is Lyndsey Piccolino, and somebody's texting me right now. And I am a star diamond coach. I don't even know what my rank is right now. But I've been a coach for about almost 2 years. It's been about 20 months. My upline sponsor is Jen Richardson, and I'm so grateful to her to get the opportunity to chat with you all tonight, because when she told me I'd be talking to you, I was slightly, petrified. So please have, grace with me tonight to know that I am a little bit nervous to talk to you guys, but I'm excited as well. So I see that a couple of girls are joining on, so I'm just going to get started so you guys can go and watch the Oscars or whatever you are going to do on a Sunday night. Inviting for me has been probably the number one thing in my business that is either what makes it go or what makes it stop, and it all goes back to the consistency of that. But I've really found that for me, it's kind of like a chicken or the egg situation, and I tell my coaches this all the time. You have to invite people, but to invite people, you have to continue to grow your network, right? But how do you grow your network? I know a lot of you guys are talking about, how do you make conversations with cold market people? How do you talk to somebody when you're talking about personal stuff and then go to Beachbody? The number one thing that I want to talk to you guys about and put this in your mind on the forefront is when you decided to become a Beachbody coach. And you've heard this a lot lately. What we do is very different from a lot of other jobs or even MLMs that you could do. Because when you decided to become a coach, you said that I'm going to help people, and that's going to be what I do. So when you said I'm going to help people, it became no longer about you. It became about them. And when you go into a conversation with somebody with that mindset, and you think not what you can get out of it, but what they can get out of it, your business changes because you are going in with different intentions, and your conversations, your invitations, they all change as a result of that. And so what I would say is, if you are going into conversations and you're just thinking about, can I get Success Club points? Can I sell a challenge pack? That sort of thing. Then you're missing the boat on a lot of this stuff. The conversation is a good place for you to just start building trust. What this business is compared to any of the other, MLMs you could be a part of is this is a very high trust business. You really have to have a good relationship with somebody for them to trust you, because not only are they investing money, but they're also putting themselves out there in a way that not a lot of other, it doesn't take, a lot of that core stuff that really gets to some people and really drives some real emotions up. And so we have to think about that when we're going in and inviting someone. It's not just a challenge pack to some people. For some people, it's a really big thing. And the one thing that I always say to my coaches is, think about how long it took you to get started. Think about how long it took you to commit to your health and fitness. Think about how long it took you to say, I want to help other people do it. So when you go into conversations like that, and you have that on the forefront of your mind, it makes it so much less stressful and so much easier to talk to people. So disassociate the outcome from your work ethic and your consistency and your mindset when you go into conversations with people. Think about how it can benefit them, because we're in this amazing business that when we help other people, when they get benefit, we get benefit. So for us to go in with a kind of a servant mindset, that will help your business, and it will fulfill you more in your business. You won't feel stressed. You won't feel, like you're just running a rat race, just trying to keep up. It will fulfill you in a way that you're not going to be able to get, if you have a different mindset. So in that conversation, the first thing you want to do is build trust with that person. And then how do we do that? It's to find out about that person and find out about their needs. So for me, I use Instagram, and I know, I think maybe Jen mentioned this in her video, but she uses Instagram for her cold market and Facebook for her warm market. I do the same thing because I view Instagram kind of as more of like a brand sort of thing. And for me, Facebook is a little bit more personal, more of like a diary of your day sort of thing. So my goal is when I'm working Instagram is to start to build relationships with people. Now a lot of us are on there, right? So a person could pick any coach. So what's going to make me different? It's building that relationship with that person so that I can bring them to Facebook and we can become friends and they do become my warm market. But that conversation has to start somewhere. So there's a couple of ways that I do that, both through public and private conversations. And some of you may have heard of some of these different techniques, and maybe some of you do them. No matter what technique you use, you need to be consistent, because if you are not consistent in what you're doing, you're never going to see what happens on the back end. And I've noticed that in my business is when I am consistent is when it pays me back. It may not be immediate, but it will, you have to figure out a system for you so that when you are a couple months down the road, you're like, okay, I see I've been talking to this person for 3 months and now it's their time and now they're ready. So the first way that I do that I connect with my cold market on Instagram, or, if you're a Facebook person, think about how you can relate this to Facebook. But for me, it's Instagram. So I'll be on Instagram, I'll post maybe a transformation photo and I'll get people to like or comment on it. Some of them maybe have following me, but we haven't started a conversation yet. So I just simply send them a thank you note, a support, thank you for your support. I thank them for that, and I simply ask them if they're on a health and fitness journey too. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm not trying to invite them to my challenge group. The only thing I'm trying to do at this point is open up the lines of conversation. Now, and honestly, I have found that question can open up the doors to a coaching conversation and to a challenge group conversation. So for me, any type of transformation photo, any type of workout photo, anything related to what we do, I can ask this question and then it can lead to a variety of places. But when I just mentioned a few minutes ago about, growing your network, you have to continue to be doing that, because I know some of you mentioned, like, what happens when people stop responding? What happens when someone gives a one-word answer? People are going to do that because those people are going to be harder sells. They don't feel the trust with you yet, and they don't feel like they're ready to talk to you yet, or maybe they're just not your people, and that's okay. We're in this business because we have a heart, right? We have a heart to help people. I'm sure that's why a lot of you became coaches. So we feel like there's a lot of people, you want to grab all of them. You want to get them all on your team. You want to have them all be healthy and get on their fitness journey. But the reality in that is that that's just not going to happen. So I would advise all of you to work with the willing. Be open to whoever wants to work with you, but you have to work with the willing. When you focus too much on the people who are saying no, or constantly following up with people who may have had a slightest interest a few months ago, we all have limited time. So the more you can focus on building new relationships, then those people who were, watching you or who maybe didn't respond to your message, if they're your people and if they are going to join you, then they will later on. And maybe once a week you pop onto their social media and you or shoot them a message just to say hi. I cannot tell you how many challenge packs I have sold or coaches that have come around because I have known that they were interested, but for some odd reason they didn't, we didn't connect. And then maybe a month later, I'll just message them and say, hey, how's it going? I saw you were on vacation. How did it go? And then they'll message me back and be like, I've been meaning to message you. I'm ready to start. So that is extremely important to follow up with those people at some point, but to continue to grow and to continue to share this and start new conversations. We cannot focus on the people who are ignoring us and get upset about it. I know as a new coach, it's oftentimes you feel like you're not making any traction because you're sending out so many messages and you feel like nobody's responding. This business takes time for people to trust you. I'm the type of person where if something's not on my radar, it's not that I don't want to get involved with it. It's just that's not what I'm currently thinking about. I get invited, I'm sure you guys do too, get invited to events all the time on Facebook. And it's like, if it's not in here right now, it doesn't go in. I don't even see it. It's like, sorry, maybe I'll be interested in that in a year or two. But so you have to remember that just because we have it in our face all the time doesn't mean that everybody does. Let me see if there's anything else I want to tell you before I answer some of the questions. I do think that conversion is a result of building that trust, and some people take longer than others. So the more that you can just be present, if you have somebody who is on your dream team and your dream team list and you want to work with that person, then be present in their social media. Leave love comments on their stuff. When you message them out of, the willingness and wantingness to develop a relationship and be a friend instead of just having them join your challenge group. I think people respond better to just, connecting with you based on those things. Let me see. I had like a thought in my mind and then it went out and it was a good one. So I hope it comes back. One of the best personal development books that was recommended to me by Ali Dar, who's coming to talk to you tomorrow, was The Go-Giver. Because I was someone who used to just churn, and I'd be like, got to get these goals, got to hit this. But then I realized that, me putting out my servant hat and putting that on, it was kind of getting pushed away. And I really was kind of unknowingly seeing people as sales and seeing people as Success Club points and not thinking like these are real people. I need to really support them and work with them in their timing. So that book really kind of transformed my business. I would highly recommend that if you haven't read it yet. But that is kind of all I think I had. And if I think about that other thought, this happens to me a lot. If you know me, I'm like all over the place. But I'm going to go through the questions that you guys added. And if you have any others, please let me know. Okay. Making comments stand out from 300 plus followers. Again, I feel like that is about just being yourself and being a regular person and a regular friend. One of the things that I recently started doing, so when I started coaching, I actually started a brand new fitness Instagram account because I was one of those coaches who was very like, oh no, I gotta have everything separate and I can't let these people know I'm doing this and blah blah blah. So I separated it, which if you're doing that and you're brand new, I would probably not, but I still have my personal account, and my goal right now is to really get in the mind of my avatar. I really want to know how she's thinking. So I actually have restarted my personal Instagram account just to kind of get in that mindset. And when I'm doing that, I'm realizing that what I'm looking for when I am, working my business is for somebody to really have thought-provoking conversation on my comments. So I don't want it to just say, awesome job, or, that looks yummy. It's like, just how would you talk if you were not a coach and you didn't have, an outcome in mind? How would you, if you just wanted to be friends with this person, how would you respond? And if they don't respond to that, then they're not going to. I mean, if you're being yourself, that's all you can be. And that was what I wanted to say to you guys. So I know there's a lot of templates out there, and you can have every conversation script in the world. And Jillian talked about this. But if you're not being you in that conversation, it's not going to work. I would advise you to go and just be you. Educate yourself on the product. If you don't feel comfortable with the product, go to the back office and learn about it. I was a coach who knew nothing about Shakeology aside from the fact that I liked it and it gave me a result. But I didn't know about it. I didn't know how to talk about it. So I've since educated myself. There's so many resources out there to really figure out like why you like these things. And when you kind of know that, you can talk more about it from a personal perspective. Do you make your presence known over a long time and they get used to seeing your name? Yeah, absolutely. Again, give people time to kind of see who you are and be like, okay, well, this is someone new. When Jen first started following me, I was like, I don't know her, because I was a private Instagram account, and I'm like, I don't know this girl, but maybe I do. Do I know her? And I was like, I don't want to offend her by not letting her follow me. So, but it took me probably like 2 or 3 days to actually let her follow me back. And, you know, so it takes people time to do that. You just have to really stick with it. And if they really are somebody that you could see being like such a good fit for you, then definitely, you know, I want to say like handle them a little more delicately and just, you know, try and build that relationship. You have a lot of followers and try to interact, rarely get replies to comments, or I would just, if you're not getting responses to who you are engaging with, first look at what you're saying. Is it personal? Is it unique? If it's not, then start there and you know, make that a little bit more personal, a little more unique. If that's not working, then you need to, like I was saying before, expand your network. You should always be doing that anyway, trying to figure out who your avatar is. I have an amazing avatar exercise that I can share with the group. I don't even know if it probably like has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now, but learning my avatar has helped me with inviting, because it's helped me to understand how they think, how they talk, what they like, what they want to see, what they don't want to see. So if you haven't done an avatar exercise, that will help your inviting so much. The next question is, how do you start a conversation when someone avoids you or changes topics when you tell them you're a coach? Well, that could be for, you know, that will give me two things. First of all, if I think that they're going to be an awesome coach and I want to keep them on my list, then I back off and I just go with personal stuff. And I continue to have conversations with them. And if and when they become a coach, it will be on their time. This has happened to me. I have people that I've connected with and I still am connected with them. You know, maybe eventually they'll join. Some people, it takes years. If they just totally fall off the face of the earth, again, they're not your people. Just continue to move on and add and grow. There's millions and millions of people to connect with. And the more you learn about your avatar and who you want to be talking to, the easier that conversation becomes. Is that a question? Okay. What about when you get one-word answers, even when you ask open-ended questions? That's a trust thing, in my opinion. You can continue to do that. Some people are more open on social media than others. Some people are going to respond to you. Some people aren't. You know, no two people are the same. So if you're having that happen a lot, then I would say, again, you need to look at who you're targeting and who is your avatar, and are you relating to them on that level? And on top of that, are the things that you're talking to them about relating back to your feed? You know, are you sharing those things? You know, if they're posting stuff about their daughter's dress and you have like a 15-year-old son and you want to know where the dress is from, that kind of doesn't make sense. And so people can pick up on that stuff and they might think that's a little bit odd. Oh, and then if they go back to your feed and it's all Beachbody, they're going to be like, well, she's trying to sell me something, so I'm not going to talk to her. Okay, let me see if there's anyone else. You know, guys, honestly, a lot of these questions are kind of like the same thing about having frustration about people not responding or giving one-word answers. Again, you just need to continue to talk to more people. When you talk to more people, that stuff doesn't bother you. Because I will tell you, I send out lots of messages to connect with people on Instagram. Like I was telling you, when people post on or comment or like my transformations, I don't even blink. I just am like, okay, I'm gonna connect with these people, start conversations. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't look at the no's. I don't look at the people who ignore me, because I don't have time. I don't have time to worry about that. I only can work with the willing. And if somebody continues to like my stuff, well, then I'll know, okay, well, they're a watcher right now. Let them watch. When they're ready, they'll come to me. But I have to be consistent, because if you're not being consistent, then when they are ready, they're going to go to somebody else. Okay. How do you segue into a Beachbody conversation from a personal conversation? Jen touched on this, and I thought it was really amazing, her answer, and she was exactly right. You know, when you are talking to these people, if you are really getting to know them on a friend level and, you know, more of a relationship level, when the time comes that you do want to invite them to something, it's going to be like a simple, breezy type of thing. And again, if you invite them and they ignore you, they're just not ready. If you know that you've built that trust and you've built that relationship and they ignore you, they're not ready, and maybe they will be. And a lot of times that happens to me. If people don't tell me no right away, I'll just kind of back off. And like I was saying to you before, I will send a message in like a couple weeks and be like, hey, how are you? What's new? Sort of thing. And then if they respond and they want to have that interaction, then I know that they do view me as, you know, a friend via the internet. And it's a good thing to keep on my list. But if they don't and then they ignore me, then I'm like, okay, moving on. That's just how I operate. I don't have time to worry about people who ignore me. I think that's I know sometimes it happens because your kid's screaming or whatever it is, but if you don't have time to answer my message, sorry, I don't have time to worry about you. Okay, general starting out conversations look like with potentials. How do you transition to the topic of Beachbody? Like I said, the biggest thing that works for me is sending people those messages of thanks. If I have like a very little interaction with them and we don't really have much of a relationship, that's how I start a conversation with them. And I would say, like, a lot of people do respond because you're not selling them anything. And if you look at my feed, it's not Beachbody, this, that, and the other thing. And also I run free groups, so I'm able to invite them to a free group. And when I have these different, you know, options to do, people aren't as intimidated to really, you know, engage with you because they don't feel like you're just trying to sell them something. How do you transition them to cross social media platforms from Instagram to Facebook? You know, it's funny because now that Instagram and Facebook are connected, a lot of times you'll see that you know, if you're like people you may know, and if you're going in and adding friends, that's one of the things I like to do. If I know I've developed a relationship with somebody on Instagram, I want to bring them to Facebook. So I will either, you know, ask them if they're on Facebook, or I will see them and I'll just friend them because we're already friends on Instagram. We've been chatting, and, you know, they always respond. They don't delete my friend requests. So, you know, the number one thing I want you guys to take away from this is that you just have to be you, and you have to just, you know, Jillian talked about the mindset. To have the mindset, you know, she challenged you to have an inviting mindset. I would challenge you to have the mindset of being that servant cap that you put on the day you decided to become a coach, because what we do is incredibly different. You've probably heard, you know, different coaches say this. What we do is hard work because it's heart work. And heart work takes a lot longer than things that aren't heart work. Anybody can go and buy any consumable product. But when you bring, you know, emotions and baggage and all of these other things into it, that's a big trust thing that we need to work to open up with people. And the more you can open up yourself, when you're, you know, sharing on your social media, I'm not saying you've got to spill the beans about everything that's ever happened to you, but if people look at your feed and they see what they see, you know, from 10 other coaches, well then, you know, they're not gonna have that level of trust. And I know Allie's going to go into this a little bit tomorrow, so I'm not going to really go on much longer. I don't think I see any other comments, but if I do, I've held you for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, so I want you to go enjoy your Sunday night. But, you know, I'm no expert at this, and I struggle just as much as anybody else does, but I just know that when I am able to put my customers, you know, their thought process and really think about it as if I was in their shoes and disassociate my own, you know, goals, because we all have goals, but, you know, that can kind of consume us if we don't, you know, really think about those people in the forefront. So I hope that you enjoy this, and thank you for the opportunity to chat with you guys. See ya.